This one's gonna be a doozy. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. And before we get into today's video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the likes, the comments, the support, and everything that I had got on my UK video. This was back in May, it is now December, but there were just so many parts and so much footage that I got, which, you know, in the long run, I was very thankful for because it got me a lot of videos and memories, of course. So with that being said, on today's video, it's going to get a little dark. It's going to get a little sad, I guess you could say. I'm okay. I typically here on my channel, I like to be upbeat, positive, show positive things in my life. There were two major reasons why I wanted to make this video. The first is I was talking with one of my coworkers, and she was telling me that her kid is currently going through issues at school, being picked on, being bullied, and I told her that essentially it gets better. It does after high school. People are mean, kids are stupid, and I gave her the best advice that I could, being somebody who went through it myself. Additionally, a second part of this is that I am responding to my friend, Angela Benedict. She had made a video. I'm gonna put a link to her channel below. And she had made a video because growing up, she attended a neighboring school district to me, and she had experienced something back in the 90s called Beat the Freak Week. And what Beat the Freak Week was essentially the popular kids would go after the weird kids. I use that in air quotes because I have completely different definitions of both terms. They would go after kids that weren't like them, or kids that expressed themselves and weren't your stereotypical person, and they would go after them and essentially pick on them, throw them around, do whatever bullies do. I'm responding to this because me, myself, I went to high school between the years of 2009 to 2013, and I've gone through experiences myself. High school for me wasn't too bad. I guess I could say the majority of like where the bullying happened was when I was between 7th to 9th grade. From there, you know, things have gotten better, and I've just learned to I don't have patience for people anymore, to be honest. This video is going to be discussing a few stories that I had in middle school. I was upset. I felt like at one point, other than my family, I felt like I was alone. I felt like I had no friends. And because of that, I was in a deep hole and was very upset. So this video is going to be a very, like I said before, a very depressing video, but I figured I'd say my life experiences, and I'm here today. With that being said, I guess I'll tell the stories based in chronological order, I guess. The first story that I had it started in about like 6th grade. Just a little backstory, because these stories that I'm gonna tell you, it kind of correlates with why the kids were coming after me. You know, growing up, I did not like the things that a stereotypical guy, I guess, or I didn't meet the gender norms or whatever. You know, the guys, they like sports and whatever else they do. They hang out, drink, whatever. I was a smart student. I was a straight A student. Additionally, I was into like musicals and theater and stuff like sports, or like the stereotypical stuff that a guy at the time I thought liked. Because of that, and because I was very extroverted, I was very loud, expressed my opinions, very animated, very, I guess, dramatic. And a lot of people use that as, I guess, weakness or a target on my back, essentially. And majority of the kids that had bullied me were, on the guy's side, the athletes, the jocks, and on the girl's side, the cheerleaders, or just mean girls, essentially. So my first story was in 6th grade, so that was back in 2006. There was this girl. She made my life living hell probably 6th and 7th grade. We'll just call her Sally. The first thing that I've noticed was Sally would essentially, I had classes with her, and she would start off by, I would say something out loud, and she'd be like, ew, why are you saying that? Ew, what? Like, and then she would get her friends, and they would get in the conversations, and they would be like making fun of me, essentially, of things I would say, or like how I talked, or this and that. And one of the things I'm very insecure about is how I talk, and I'm not a fan of it. It's one of my biggest insecurities, but they use that to my advantage. And it was to the point where over time, things just started escalating. So Sally would tell my class, she would be like, oh, shun Michael. And they would shun me. I would be kind of like an outcast. And if I were trying to like ask, like, hey, can I have a pencil, or what did the teacher say, or can I have the homework assignment, or like something, kids in my class would completely ignore me. So there was an experience that I had gone through around my time, I guess, being a borderline millennial Gen Z. I entered the technology world and social media, and yeah, it was a journey. Back, when I was in middle school, I had a MySpace, an AIM, Instant Messenger, and all people needed was your screen name. And if somebody had wind of it, they can add you, message you, and a lot of things that would happen to me, per se, were Sally, and then I had other people in my grade who were friends with Sally, guys and girls, add me on Instant Messenger, pretend to be nice to me at first, and then they would start asking me questions, very inappropriate questions. I was 12 at the time, so a lot of what they were asking me, I didn't quite understand, because I guess, unlike them, I was raised in a good household and I was taught to respect people. These people had no filters, no chill, and there was a sense of innocence there that I didn't quite understand. So one day, I was starting to get instant messages from a group of girls in my grade. They were just calling me slurs, making fun of me. I still have a printed copy of this conversation from Sally and I. What I'll do is, as I'm talking, I'll just put little clips and snippets. I'm not that petty to where I will show her username, but I will show you kind of like the extent of things that she was saying to me. Essentially, she was saying like, no one likes you, unalive myself. And it was definitely hard hearing that. And my mom overheard me getting upset, and she stepped in, and she did what she could. Got administration involved, and the thing is, with my school administration, they didn't care. They didn't take the actions that they needed to. They cared more about the athletes, because if they win all district championships or whatever it is, so if they're accounted for, they would have to be suspended. So their star people, cheerleaders, football, lacrosse players would get suspended. It would be the end of the world, and then I would look like the asshole. Since that fateful day, I guess I was old news to her, and she moved on to other people, making fun of them. She would make fun of people with disabilities. She would make fun of people that just were weird in her book. And, I don't have any hate or resentment towards her, because personally for myself, if I'm harboring on something that happened years ago, I can't move on with my life and just know that, because of, these experiences, I've definitely developed a backbone and just a thicker shell. And I've never received an apology, and I'm not expecting one. But funnily enough, one day I was picking up an acai bowl, and she came in. This was about a couple years ago, and she comes in, starts talking with me. Oh, how are you doing? Hope you're well, this and that. Far as I know, she's a born again Christian, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but for somebody with a history that she had, being mean to people, and she bought a house and everything, and good for her. But it's just funny how things like that work. So Sally, if you ever end up watching this, wish you nothing but the best. And I can thank you. I would like to thank you for, based on how, in middle school, how you treated me, and moving forward, I've become the person that I am. So thanks, Sally. So at this point, these next two stories, let's fast forward to 8th grade. 8th grade was pretty rough too. I have two stories there. So the first story that I have is when I was in math class. This is a very quick story. I was targeted. There were some people, still same people that bullied me since 6th, 7th grade, that would come after me. And one day I was in a lockdown, and let's just call this guy Robert. Robert was one of my biggest offenders. He would call me names, make fun of me, harassment, take that as you will. And one day in math class, we had lockdowns. And what a lockdown is, for those who are watching this out of the US, a lockdown prepares us for people were to come into school, intruders, and had a sole purpose of harming the students. The lockdown would be, in our procedures, we would shut the lights, lock the door, and we would all huddle into a corner. And if the offender doesn't see us in the room, it's assumed that they would move on and try to find people and do what they could. So anyways, in this lockdown, I was next to Robert, and Robert decided to take his hand and start rubbing my back. And I was like, oh, not today. Like, I'm not in the mood for this. Like, I have been dealing with everyone's stuff for a while, and just wouldn't stop. It'd be like, stop. And he would just start laughing and like provoking me. And mind you, I eventually reached my limit, and what I did was, behind me there was a filing cabinet, and what I did is, because he wouldn't stop, I've warned him a few times. As the hand was kept on stroking my back, I went like boom, and went into the file cabinet, and I was pressing hard on his hand, make sure, and it was the corner of the filing cabinet was going into his knuckles. And I heard him, ow. I'm like, are you gonna stop? And he was like, yeah. So I let him go, and he stopped. Moving forward, hasn't bothered me since. So that was a quick little story there. So the last story that I have for you today, about my experiences in middle school. I posted this on TikTok almost a year ago, but for those new viewers, this tops my experience with Sally, and that was pretty bad. So this was also 8th grade. I was on the tennis team in school, and I decided, you know what, let me try something new. So one of the gym teachers had approached me and was like, hey, join the tennis team, blah, blah, blah. So I joined it. So what we did, before practice, we would go to the locker room and we would change and go and do our after school sports. And then we were done, we would change back and take the late bus, or our parents would pick us up. So I always ended up taking a locker towards the back. So in the back of the locker room, it would be closer to the bathrooms. And from the bathrooms was a pathway that you can get out to the fields in the back, to where all the sports were. With that being said, go do my sports, my tennis practice. And when I came back, first thing that I noticed was when I walked in, I didn't see my binder. So what I would do is I would leave my backpack and my binder right in front of my locker, because the lockers were just small. It was enough for me to put my clothes in, but my backpack and my binder, I left there. So first thing I noticed was my binder was missing as I was walking through the hallway. And I was like, oh boy. So I started walking through the bathroom and I started seeing papers on the ground, and I was like, oh, there are papers on the ground. So I look and I see what it was, and I see my handwriting on it. And I was like, are you kidding? So I look down and I see my binder thrown into the urinal. I see my homework and my notes thrown in there as well, because people felt good about doing horrible things. And I started getting worked up. My face started turning red. I was agitated, annoyed, and I had an idea of who did it, Robert being one of them, and other people. And from there, I started cleaning up. I was getting very frustrated, upset, and there was another guy who hung out in that group, but this is an example of somebody who, even though he hung out with that group, he wasn't a mean person. And throughout the time that we were in school together, he was always very nice to me, and he wasn't a douche. He came up to me, he's like, do you need my help? And I was like, no, I don't need it, but he ended up helping me. And to that person, if you end up stumbling upon this video, just know I remember your kind act from years ago, and I'd like to thank you for what you've did. But it was just downhill from there. I was just getting very tired, fed up. I was getting depressed, and I didn't know what other measures there were. Like, at the time, I thought, what if it doesn't get better? Like, am I stuck in this realm of consistent bullying and people being mean for the rest of my life? Because at the time, when you're a teenager, you don't think that things are going to get better. One person that had noticed what I was going through, was my music teacher, and he noticed people making fun of me, especially when I would get up as one of the few guys that would go up and sing. I actually sang because I love singing. My grandmother was very much into music, and she taught my brother, my cousin, and I that music unlocks your core memories. It makes you feel good. Music bonds a lot of people. So I was very musically involved. I did the recorder, I did the string bass, I was in chorus and show choir. I did a lot with music, and pretty much my intro to theater and show choir was with my chorus teacher in 7th grade. He saw how I was being treated, and I came to him, and he actually made the effort to help me. And there's always that one teacher that always resonates with you, and he definitely did. He told me, listen, I want you to join show choir. I think you have a good voice. I think this would be good for you, and you're going to be with a bunch of people that won't judge you. He didn't say judge you verbatim, but essentially it was people that it's an open and respected, and people are not mean, and they're very accepting, and they have the family vibes. So I auditioned, I got in, I got into theater, I got the lead role in my 8th grade play. So there were things that were turning over. And as I got into high school, I started becoming popular. And now what this stereotypical definition of popular versus my definition of popular. Popular is what you see in the movies, you know, the mean girls or the jocks or the athletes. My definition of popular is somebody that is friends with everybody, friends with different friend groups, very active in school activities, even in the adult world, just having multiple different groups of friends and just being a decent, kind human being, and people having positive things to say about you, and you yourself having positive things to say about everybody. And because of my experiences in middle school, even though at the time I didn't quite understand, I now, being almost 30, understand more. Not that I deserved this or this needed to happen to me, but more or less my fate. You can't control your own fate. You can only make choices that result in consequences. Because of my experiences and because of what I went through, I've learned that things will get better. And kind of going back to the beginning, full circle, I told my coworker that things will get better for your son. He's a senior in high school. Once he graduates, he will meet a whole group of friends. That chapter has closed, and high school wasn't easy. I'm not going to say that it's perfect. And for those who say it was, I don't believe you. Even if you were one of those people in the jocks or cheerleaders, I think that you had your own experiences as well. And moving forward, just wanted to say that there are now resources there for people who are going through that, people who are who feel like they don't have their family. Thankfully, I have my family to support me, but they now, in a lot of places, they take bullying seriously. I'm still questionable with the schools, but yeah, I'm here now. So with that being said, guys, to turn this video into a positive thing, I've grown, I'm here, I'm a lot of great things happening, coming up, but yeah, so I just want to respond to my friend's video, because even though we had different experiences in regards to what happened to her versus me, I think that school bullying is a issue worldwide and wherever you are. And if there's anything, if you're going through something, if you're being bullied, or if you need someone to talk to, just know I'm here, and it gets better. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next week for another video.